did you watch the new Demon Slayer movie? Have not seen you talking about it. I did watch the newest Demon Slayer movie, and I don't really have anything substantial to say about it that I guess hasn't already been said. It is Demon Slayer. It is pretty much everything you would expect from Demon Slayer, right down to the tropes that Demon Slayer itself has established, which we've talked about on Trash Taste before. There is this moment where this thing happens, and it's just like, they're doing the thing again. They're doing the Demon Slayer thing again. Demon Slayer be demon slaying? I mean, at this point, Demon Slayer does very, very little to surprise me, and that's not a bad thing at all. That is not a bad thing, because I go to Demon Slayer for one thing, and that is to see peak animation, hype fights, and just Ufotable putting out some of their best work. And pretty much every new iteration of Demon Slayer delivers in some way, shape, or form. I think the one demerit to this movie as a movie experience is, oh my god, it is just so long, man. It is, god damn, it is long, and it feels long. It is 2.5 hours, and it really does feel like 2.5 hours. I don't really have too much of an issue with flashbacks because it's just the Demon Slayer thing. I think if flashbacks are done well, it's a little bit tropey, but it's not exactly the worst anime trope. I mean, let's just talk about, I'm a fan of One Piece. I'd be a hypocrite if I hated flashbacks, where, in One Piece, when the flashback happens, the tears are going to be fighting, man. You're in for a ride. And with Demon Slayer, I think that this newest Infinity Castle movie has, I think, the best flashback that Demon Slayer has produced in its series thus far. The problem is the flashback feels like it comes an hour and a half into the movie after we'd already had 2 other flashbacks. And by the point the third flashback had hit, I was already in flashback fatigue. By the point the third flashback hits, you had just come out of like a really, really hype fight, a really, really hype moment, and then the momentum just stops. And it's just like, oh, okay. And here's the thing, if it was like a weekly show, I'd be like, okay, it'd be a lot more digestible, because I'd be like, okay, I'd get time to reset my emotions to be like, okay, I've got this hype fight. Next week, we're going to go flashback for the next 2 episodes or whatever. And then the flashback hits, and I'm sitting here in the cinema, and I'm looking at the watch, because I'm just like, all right, we got another flashback. And to be fair, the flashback, as I said, is the best flashback that Demon Slayer had done, in my opinion. The problem is that it's just so long that it just took me out for like a little bit. And when you get to the end of the flashback and when it gets you to where it wants you to go, I do think that it hits all the emotional beats. But goddamn, I just wanted to take a piss break and just be like, all right, maybe I'll catch another showing, and I'll catch you in this movie later. I'm flashback out right now. If there's one thing I do wish that Demon Slayer did, it's instead of using the same formula of having the flashback right when they get introduced to like the demons, is that I wish there were more fights where I was like properly invested in this fight before the fight happens without needing a flashback, or maybe having a flashback arc to flesh out the stakes of this fight a lot earlier. Because I will say the first 2 fights I did enjoy, but it did require that flashback to get me invested, because you go into the fight and you're just like, why am I invested in this fight? And considering we just came out of an arc that was basically the Hashira training arc, I thought an arc like that would be perfect downtime to build up the stakes of these fights that were going to happen. And I think structurally, the Infinity Castle movie would have benefited massively from that if there weren't so many flashbacks in it. Like, there's a reason why the Akasa fight was already the most hype, because you have stakes about why this fight matters. You know why these characters are invested in this fight, and that is why it is the standout fight of the entire movie. And that was stakes that was set up before the Infinity Castle happened. And I kind of wish that, small change, if the first 2 fights had a similar build-up beforehand, I probably would have enjoyed the movie more. As it stands, still a fucking great movie. Still a very, very enjoyable movie. I went in for flashy fights, great animation, and it delivered that. And as a bonus, it got me emotional with that third flashback. I will say my most hype moment of the whole movie though was wasn't even in the third fight, even though the third fight had the best like animation. Damn, the time I got the most hype was in the second fight, and it was just one moment. That is the singular most time I got the most hype. Bro, and it only took like one line as well. It also took one line. What line was it? Bro, 7th form, man. Hearing that, I'm like, no fucking way. Ain't no way. Oh yeah, the ending of the second flashback, I forgot, that got me pretty emotional as well. Yeah, guess what? Everyone has a sad story. Don't want to hear it. Look, everyone in Demon Slayer has a sad story. Basically, was Zenitsu as annoying as ever? Actually, Zenitsu was the most un-Zenitsu like I'd ever seen him. And we get to see the payoff of Zenitsu just locking in. Zenitsu, I think, had some of the standout moments in it. Yo, he locked in, man. He absolutely locked in.